Today is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of the finale of Winners at War.
All right. What a great finale, too. This episode was titled, It All Boils Down to This. This is the longest episode we've ever had. Bar none. Not even close.
True. But I thought it was good. What'd you think overall?
It was a great finale.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, even if it did start off in Prope's garage.
That's true. That didn't seem to make much difference, did it?
No, it didn't. And I didn't even believe him when he said that he wasn't going to be back after introing it and setting it up, until the very end. Mm-hmm. But I was really thrilled with how it worked out. I loved all the extra time focused on the episode and focused on the finale and all the things that were happening there, because it's definitely a rich finale with a lot of action. It's day 35. It's time for that Edge of Extinction Return Challenge.
I could not believe that Natalie got so stuck on that pole.
You're thinking with 3 advantages, she's just going to blow through this and
totally
this and this and this, and it's no contest.
None at all.
And she got stuck maybe almost as bad as Aubrey did when she had an advantage.
That's true. And Aubrey got stuck on the same thing.
Yeah.
The pole part.
Yeah.
But it's like, she started on the pole.
Not quite as bad as Reem.
Yeah. The other people went through the fence part and got to the pole, and she was still on right where she started, and it looked like it was looped worse than when she started.
She did appear to make it worse. Yule and Parvati and Wendell did really good getting through there. They had advantages too, and so they blew right through that section, but they had that hard dig to deal with.
Yes, and that saved her the most time, I think, was that she got to just fly right by that.
Given what happened to her, had she not had 3 advantages, there's an excellent chance she would not have done as well as she did.
Well, she still could have, but...
Yeah, she would have been a lot later to that opportunity for sure.
True.
And it wasn't like that was the only hard part. She had difficulty when she actually got up there building the rope bridge too. Fell off and then managed to disconnect one of the bridge rungs there.
But she didn't give up.
Nope, kept going.
Kept going and got herself there. And I thought, Wendell's got this. He's already got one ball sunk.
It did seem like it, yeah.
It just looked like, wow, this is over before it hardly gets started.
Classic Survivor, though. There's a comeback in the works.
Well, and Robin and Tyson were in the running, but...
Wendell ends up dropping. He's very close. On that second one, he drops, and Natalie's able to squeak in there and get a win. And that overwhelmed her. She broke down crying after winning there.
That would be a lot, and especially thinking you were going to have, I think maybe she had too much adrenaline pumping on that first section. She had calmed down a bit.
Did you get anything out of the Propes gives back to the Edge of Extinction folks section?
No, I thought it was nice.
Talked to Kim, and she acknowledged how this was so much the opposite of her first season. I think she has a deeper appreciation for how easy that was in comparison. Tyson's really happy being a dad, he tells us. And Amber says she only came back to be here to support her hubby, Boston Rob. And Boston Rob manages to send some gratitude back her way, too, as well as acknowledging the game and the appreciation that they all have.
88 days.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That gives new meaning to Sarah saying she was on like day 92 or 3 at some point recently. I was like, oh, wow.
I would imagine he's probably counting the Island of Idle days, too, though, don't you think?
I don't know.
Possibly. That was funny, the little segment with Parvati. She left the squishy cute baby to come out for the vicious game.
Well, that would be a shock, really, to your system.
I really appreciated Prope's summary, too. his description. It's a giant, weird family. That seemed very apropos.
Yeah. Well, Parvati even said she had to give up nursing. You know, her body had to change from not nursing anymore.
I absolutely did not even remotely hear that.
Okay.
I have no recollection of that. And
well, she didn't say it in the episode.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes more sense then.
I heard an interview with her with somebody from Canada this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
And remember I told you I listened to the interview and then it made me go back and rethink
your picks.
My picks as far as, because I didn't know the jury thought Ben and Denise were that close. So I switched it for Ben going out. I had him, I think, in third. And so I took him back and then I rearranged because I thought, wait a minute, though that would put Natalie there. And then Michelle's not going to beat Natalie. And so anyway, it helped me with my picks, though I didn't get them all. So
Tony responded to hearing all those emotional stories. It really got to him, but he said he's not going to ease up. He's going to put the pedal through the floor at this point.
He has shown a more sensitive side, though, way more this season.
Uh-huh. And then we get some experience videos, so the Zoom sessions pay off, I guess, there. Okay, we're back at the Koru camp on day 35, and it's all about the day 2 to day 35 experience for Natalie. She says she's here to create waves. She just needs to make sure to keep the lies straight. I liked how she laid it on Tony, too.
Yes, she did.
She recognized the advantage she had coming back in. She said, oh, yeah, the Edge of Extinction thinks it's totally the Tony show. He's the favorite of the jury.
Well, I felt that way, too. I mean, I didn't hear them necessarily all say that, but I felt that.
From time to time in the episodes this season, you could see him responding to things he was saying and doing, for sure.
Yep. Anyway, Tony's hoping nobody's believing that. He hopes it's true, but he don't want anybody else to think it's really true.
Yeah, he realized she could say anything she wanted.
Yep. Well, and it was good to push that to the other people. Oh, she can say anything she wants. That's not true.
And you get some great insight into the game of Tony versus the game of Sarah and their discussion there on the beach. Tony asks Sarah, think she's got an advantage? Sarah goes, no, most definitely not.
Absolutely not. Now.
And then he asks Sarah, does he think that Natalie could win at the end? Sarah says no. And he said, that's what I was worried about. And I bet you Ben's thinking exactly the same thing.
Well, here's the thing. I think Natalie really got in Sarah's head. Mm-hmm. And that's part of her reaction here. She's still stinging at the fact that they might think Tony's pulling her along. And she's already reacting to that. And I think that affected her and her decisions.
To have Michelle hit her with it a couple of days prior.
Yeah.
And we saw that Sarah acted out a little bit after being told that. And then to have Natalie come in and basically reinforce it in the worst possible way definitely rattled her.
Well, and I thought it was very interesting that she didn't know anything about Natalie, really. She's like, I don't know how savvy she is. But she didn't think she's very savvy. And I thought, oh, wow, wasn't that what Sandra said about Denise just before she voted her out?
Yes.
I thought, oh, no, Sarah.
This is like a huge tactical error on her part, not to know that Natalie played the same kind of devious, crafty, high-caliber game that Sarah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. I thought, that's not good when you're completely underestimating. I mean, why wouldn't you assume that she at least might have something?
Sarah didn't have anything comforting to say back to Tony in his questions. She didn't ease his mind at all there.
Nope.
Day 36, let's go to that final 6 immunity challenge. What did you think of this one?
It was good. What did you think?
It was a great big challenge, a lot of physical elements to it. and finished with a puzzle that we soon find out is one that Michelle has done before, and she actually won.
And it obviously made a difference. I thought I wasn't even giving her a thought. She was so far behind in the physical part of the challenge and came dragging up there, exhausted, and I just thought she was completely out. And then, bam.
Her first reaction was, oh, shoot, like she was overwhelmed. Denise looked at it and said, oh, this looks like fun. She was up for it.
And they were trying to copy her. I thought, but guys, if you're copying her, you're always going to be behind her.
I like the physical obstacles that they had to do, the plank bridge and the disc bridge, and to go and collect the bags of the puzzle pieces, and the water slide looked like fun as a quick way to get back down there to where the obstacles were.
I bet it helped them cool off.
And then, yeah, absolutely. And then that 3-tier puzzle, unless the water was too warm, depends on if they were running cold water through it or not, and possibly not.
Well, the disadvantage was when they had to climb across things, and they were already wet, and they were trying to climb
you could
across
see
them.
Denise slipping on the disc bridge after she had come down the water slide the first time. Yeah.
Less fun.
Yep.
But anyway, it was a really good challenge, and good on Michelle.
Ben was doing great. He ended up being first to the third bag, then Tony. And Natalie actually lapped Michelle at one point, getting up there. But yeah, the fatigue, and Michelle ends up back at the puzzle. And everyone's trying to figure out what she's doing because she just knocks it right out. Tony tells us it's going to be a tricky tribal. Season 38 was a lesson, and he really wants to stop Natalie. He doesn't want another Chris Underwood scenario. Back at camp, they're chowing down on some rice.
Natalie tells them, well, I got to go look for an idol.
Yeah.
You think she was trying to make them feel like
keep the
she
pressure
didn't
on.
have anything?
Yeah, she wanted to keep the pressure on, too. You never know how people are going to react when you amp up that kind of anxiety.
Or to see if they open a conversation. It's just good to get a feel for what's going on, but I think all of it rattled Tony.
Again, though, he's reading things very clearly at this point. And Ben's disagreeing with him, and Ben has an agenda that he's not sharing, where he doesn't want to vote out Denise. Tony comes up with a plan, straightforward. They would be able to keep their idols, do a 2-2-2 split, and basically get rid of Denise. Ben's not interested in that. Like you said, there was an alliance between the two of them.
And he was perfectly content to just throw all their votes on Natalie. I don't know why he and Sarah were both so sure.
Well, again, it highlights the difference in Tony's perception of what's going on versus theirs, his ability to discern that versus theirs, I guess.
Well, and Ben tells us once again that Denise is a true friend to him. She's not just a number. She's not just somebody else in the game. She's really a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Interesting arc to Ben's game this season, for sure. And this is a theme that gets repeated here in the finale. The depth of the friendship and what he's decided to value in the context of the game.
I like that Natalie was just out there with, okay, this is what you do. Nobody scrambles. Nobody's willing to talk. What? This? And Michelle's like, I'll talk to you.
Sure. And a plan is hatched.
I was surprised that Natalie told Michelle so quickly, or it appeared so quickly, that she had an idol. I wasn't sure how well that was going to go over.
It's really what she wanted, though, because her agenda was to shake up those four, to start breaking them apart. So it all played out perfect that Michelle won in that sense. Probably the only better thing would have been if she had won, and then she could have protected Michelle, I suppose.
Yep. I liked it that Tony came back with a plan, even though, Ben was okay with it, but he's like, let's just vote Denise. And then we don't have to take a chance. We don't have to play our idols.
Be safe, he said.
We'll be safe. And
we'll be
have
protected
our idols
against
for
her
another
idol.
day. And he was right about that.
Sarah was so adamant.
She would not listen.
Natalie would have told Sarah because they had made a connection.
That's right. She
on
does
that day
not
that she'd been
have
back.
anything. she would have told
Welcome
me.
to my world, says Sarah. This is what it's like having to manage Tony all these days in this game.
And
then
here-
she speaks of herself in the third person. Sarah knows, Sarah tells us.
Sarah knows.
Yeah.
I thought, oh no, kiss of death.
Yeah.
Third person.
Okay, let's go to that final six tribal council there on night 36. Ben gets the softball question, is Edge of Extinction a threat? Yes, Jeff. Yes, it is, Ben replies.
She's been over there with them.
I liked Michelle's response there, the follow-on. Yes, it would be an easy vote to vote for Natalie, but she brought new information and it hit us in different ways. And Ben's quick to point out, yeah, there's no fact-checking anything Miss Natalie offers, so she's in a unique position.
Well, and Michelle, she gave us a lot to digest, and we've had to spend some time doing that. But I thought, wow, I think Sarah opening up here and sharing about the whole gender bias,
Yeah.
I do think that was her breakthrough. But I think Natalie coming in and saying that was what really opened all that, just blew that wide open.
You know, to me, this just seemed like a repeat of that secret scene with Kim, where she was struggling with her game and how she played, and Kim worked with her through that. And she said they spent a couple of hours, I think, talking through that. So I thought, wow, she's just fallen right back into that same hole there.
When Natalie said that, I believe she just went right down that hole.
Supposedly she had a breakthrough with Kim, but I guess not, because now she's had a breakthrough with Natalie.
Well, Kim helped her in that moment for sure. But obviously it wasn't completely gone. You would think therapist Denise would help. She could talk to her.
Maybe. That's not normally the kind of therapy that Denise does.
Yes,
but,
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
What did you think about Sarah's story?
What do you mean?
The whole gender bias thing and how it had impacted her. How did it hit you? Because I had a reaction to it.
Which was?
Okay, we'll skip your answer for now, I guess. Well, I identified immediately with what Tony said. He said, no, I don't see it that way. Because I see strong women everywhere I look. And I understand the contribution that can be made. And I think it's overlooking, there's plenty of us who have said Sarah played an incredible game and we weren't down on her. It's obvious that the negativity affected her more, but she's also highly respected by the fans and for her ability and how she was able to pull all that off.
Yeah.
What stuck with her and what hurt her more, obviously, is the negativity, but that was a little bit of a struggle. I really appreciated Tony's response there. Tony works with strong women, and so he doesn't...
And a lot of men do.
I have.
Strong mothers, strong wives.
All through my career, all through my life, So what was your take on it?
I just thought that she probably has some issues because she dealt with that going into the police department and having to deal with some bias there.
So, yeah, I'm sure there's been a ton of it. So it's probably just the accumulation for her that really added up.
And then obviously someone said something after the season that, really bothered her, and that's
probably more than one.
That's been an issue, and I think it's not just one thing. I think it's something that builds over time with maybe multiple experiences, and that out there your emotions get raw. That's the way it is.
Well, I was glad to see that she was working through it, and then she recognized it, and it sounded like she had a breakthrough, and it sounded like it wasn't. Because I wondered too, is this some jury management? What is she doing? But it seemed genuinely emotional. I don't think it was that. So.
Well, my take is she just had to give herself permission. Mm-hmm. That was something that came to me a long time ago. Was like, I don't have to ask anybody. I just do what, make my own decision and live with it. Don't let it defeat you. And I think that's what she did. She just had to give herself permission to play the way I want and not be defeated by the gender bias.
Probst seemed to do pretty good owning his mistakes after he asked Tony and Ben, and they both said they knew and understood and referenced lots of strong women in their lives. Probst said that he had made mistakes, wasn't aware of it, but he's happy he is now. And then Sarah hit him with that great line, call me Lucina. You can call me by my last name.
That was pretty good. That was a good comeback. Adam loved it.
And he immediately turned to Natalie and said, Natalie?
Though she did have to remind him several times.
Hoping for the best.
Call me Lucina.
I like Tony's response to what Natalie talked about and looking for cracks and hoping for the best. And she was trying to downplay her position, obviously, to help pull out his idol. But Tony was right on top of it again. He said, no, she's creating cracks. She's not looking for them. She's making them.
He said, the people out there on the EOE know everything and we don't. That seemed to bother him.
Yeah, but she just came right back at him again. Yeah, there's some people who've got blinders on. And I asked the ladies not to shoot the messenger, but you're in the process of giving Tony $2 million.
Yep. She didn't let up on that, so.
That's when you got that jury response where Adam reached over to Sophie and whispered, call me Lucina. And Sophie said that she was super proud of her.
Okay, it's time to vote. And Natalie decides to play her idol.
Yep. And it was a big I told you so moment for Tony.
He could not hold that back.
No.
I told you, I told you, I told you.
Yep. And just as Natalie planned, Tony ends up playing his idol and Ben ends up playing his. And you can see that's not something that Natalie had anticipated because she had an immediate reaction to Ben playing his. And there's a reason. The votes come in. 4 votes for Natalie do not count. And then 2 votes for Ben do not count. So now Probst tells them you got 2 choices. You can vote for Denise or you can vote for Sarah. And if there's a tie, they're going to have to make fire. And then you see Natalie whisper to Michelle just before they go up to vote. And then the votes come back and it's 3 for Denise and she is out.
Yep, actually they all 4 voted for her.
3 was all you needed and that was it.
Yep. So there went our USB.
I think Sarah's connection to Natalie won out at that moment. And you could even see Sarah say to Natalie after that point, thank you.
Well, we were close, honey. We had Sarah going.
Yeah, we got it narrowed down
we
there.
got in the ballpark.
Just did not break in our favor at that point.
Nope.
So Denise is out, and that was exciting.
And Ben shoots a love you, Mama D.
Mm-hmm. But when they get back to camp, Tony's got some more I told you so's for Ben.
You guys never listen to me.
3 idols played.
Yep, he's still into the I told you so's.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever listens to me. So, but he tells them I'm going to be.
It was a good point too. He said that they weren't acquiescing to him the way he was acquiescing to them when they said 100, when they called 100% on their position or their decision or their assessment. He said, "You guys aren't doing that for me. I'm making the change. I'm adjusting my game when you say that, but you're not doing that for me." And then you hear Ben say, I realized something was wrong when I saw her jacket as we headed out to, I guess Natalie didn't take all her possessions with her when they headed out to tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ben's going to scramble. He said he's not going to let that stop him. He knows 3 idols were played, and so there's got to be at least one coming back out.
That Tony, you mean?
Yeah. And so he gathers up some coal and a shell, and then he's off to search through the night. Something that we later learn he says he's done many, many nights.
That's rough. When does the man ever sleep? And he never seems to be tired or lethargic. Everybody else gets tired. You see him lay around. They're dragging.
It's just like Kagayan. He got more and more energy as the game went on. Yeah.
I don't know where the man gets that much energy. Goodness. But good on him.
Come sunrise, though, it's a bust, and he hasn't found anything, and they're all up and looking.
It's like, here they come. Everybody's looking. And who finds it?
Natalie, just the break she needed.
Were you surprised she showed it to Michelle right away?
No, because again, she wanted that.
Needs her,
yeah, she wanted that vote, that alliance. She wanted to be able to have some social elements of her very, very limited game.
So at least Ben's willing to admit that he and Tony have searched everywhere and that he really is afraid somebody else found it.
Yep, made him suspicious. Okay, it's day 37, time for that final 5 immunity challenge.
That they're afraid one of them's going to win.
I like this. I like they included some water elements here at the end. We don't often get that.
True.
So they've got to dive off a platform and swim, and then climb up and jump off a ramp, unlock some sandbags, and then they've got to land those sandbags on a pedestal. They got 2 bags they got to throw and get them to both stay up there to win.
Tony was not your best swimmer.
No, but he kept plugging away, slow and steady
He got there. He got there last, but he got there.
Michelle's definitely working some kind of fear of heights.
Oh, yeah.
Because she had a hard time getting out there to get the keys to unlock the sandbags. Now, like Probst, you can walk it, you can crawl it, you can scooch it, however you need to get it done. That was a good line. Oh, yeah, they had that net they had to crawl under, too, just to make them that much more uncomfortable, where they're all soaking wet and they've got to crawl through the sand under a net. Yeah.
Sand sticks to them. That doesn't feel so good when you're crawling like that.
Ben ends up being the first one to start tossing the sandbags, and then it's Ben and Tony, and Ben gets the first one, and then Tony gets his first one, and then it's just the on and off sequence where they're bouncing them off of the little platform. They got to land them on there, the stool that...
How many reactions did we get from Tony and Ben thinking they had it?
Got it. Ben kept
and then it rolled off.
Throwing his arms up.
Tony too. Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
All right, Tony ends up getting that one. He wins his 4th immunity.
Good on him. 4
very
immunities.
Nice. Very, very nice. Yes.
Awesome.
Get back to camp there on day 37. Everybody's good job, Tony. When they get back, Natalie says to Michelle, let's try to get Sarah to take out Ben. That's what we need to do to break up those 3.
Now they're a little worried about putting all their votes on Natalie. Now Ben's thinking, Sarah's thinking.
Tony's on top of it, though. He gets Sarah, and they're talking down at the beach, and he said, Natalie's not looking for anything. Something's up. I'm going to go get in the spy nest, and you see if you can bring the girls over to talk there at the well so that we can figure out what's going on. And didn't look like Sarah was able to get Michelle to join them, but Natalie comes along, and they have a discussion. Now, what did you think about Natalie's plan to reveal the hidden immunity idol by hiding it in the buff there on her hand and just basically waving it right under Sarah's face while they were talking?
I didn't think she was really planning to.
Oh, no, she meant to.
You
she just didn't think about the
I
repercussions
didn't
of
think
it.
So, but
she didn't think about what that would mean for Michelle, but she thought she was being clever.
That would make Sarah go with them?
Yes.
Well, it was coming to the time where Sarah may have to make some decisions.
Natalie's pitch to Sarah there at the well as Tony was listening in from the spy nest was, we got to get rid of Ben so we don't have to make fire against him.
Well, here's the thing, too, is Sarah has to be very careful what she says. I mean, she knows Tony's listening, but you don't know what might set him off if she said something he didn't like or something. But
I don't think Sarah worries about that. She thinks she's managing Tony super well, so...
She may not after the last travel. Anyway, I did like that she asked that, Natalie, are you only willing to vote Ben?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Just exploring the possibilities there. Yep, that's always a good plan. They eventually walk off, and Tony's ecstatic. His spy nest has worked super well, but it took so long with them talking. He describes it as an hour. It probably wasn't that long of a conversation, but it was enough that he was feeling weak up there in the tree, and he knew that he was right. He goes back to Sarah and says, yes, she has an idol. Okay, let's vote out Michelle.
Then we get to the Ben and Sarah conversation, and
man, I'm so disappointed in this.
Her asking him if he thought that Natalie would play her idol for Michelle. Mm-hmm. And Ben immediately said, well, yeah, I think she would, being from the edge. I don't know exactly what that had to do with it.
That was just part of the story he had made up for how to answer the question, I guess.
So.
Yeah, she played one for herself. Now she's going to play one for someone else. It's all part of Natalie's
whatever gets her further in the game,
plan,
for sure.
Yeah.
And then he tells us he's fine with Sarah voting him out. Not going to hold it against you.
Paraphrase it. Ben quit right here.
Or you win.
Mm-hmm.
You have to win. If you do this, you have to win.
Or if he does that, she has to win. Yeah. He tells us he has struggled with the game, but he has discovered that friends are worth more than money. This is basically what you frequently said to me, that you were always worried that I would fall for somebody's sob story or something about their story.
That you would feel they needed the money more than we did.
Right.
They need it more than they have children of them. I could just see you do that and go, I couldn't do it.
Okay. You're just going to hit it one more time, huh?
Well, I could.
With this example.
You're very sensitive to that kind of thing.
You get this example.
I know you don't give that impression, but you are.
You get Ben here personifying that exact ideal, I suppose.
So
he tells Sarah that her last tribal council speech was a winner.
Well, there's nothing to say that Ben's wife didn't beat him over the head. To put her through him going out there away from the children and her all of that time, and then he says that, I'd have been hitting you over the head.
Yes.
Going, I just knew you were going to do that.
It might have been an uncomfortable, rough finale night at Ben's house. Uh-huh.
Though I'm sure he'd already told her, but
I don't know why he was so sure she had won, that to throw his game away like that.
Or that she would win, but I don't know.
Yeah, Sarah says that they've got 100% trust, and she may have to make this move without Tony. So. Well,
it was emotional in that they were both, because they were both so genuinely emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was...
So you didn't respond one way or another when I said it, but I consider what Ben did a quit. Do you think that was a quit? There are all kinds of quits. Mm-hmm. You don't have to just walk out of the game and say I quit. You can engineer and finagle quits, and you can ask the tribe to vote you out.
About a full-fledged quit, but he did give her the option to quit with no consequences. Which, you kind of want to hold that out there a little bit, that there could be consequences on the jury if you put me there. But, to at least try and hold out.
Well, there's a consequence I don't think he considered at all, which is him doing this. If this gets out, then that's not her winning by her own merit necessarily.
Well, true.
This is, you got here because this person gave up. You still get to be there and...
Yeah.
All that, but
maybe that was her intent. I don't know.
That doesn't seem like the equality win that she was shooting for.
Yeah.
But she certainly was willing to accept it.
Well, I think he just accepted that that's what she needed to do. That's what she was telling him. And that he wasn't going to try to make her feel bad about it. But I would have pushed, I think, to, let's try this. And,
Yeah,
because they did do revotes before. So.
That's called fighting in the game and not giving up, not quitting.
It's like, let's put Michelle and we'll just see.
This was a really disappointing end to his story arc for me, I guess. That's my takeaway. I was really sad to see him do that, and I don't think it benefited her in any substantial way, which is another reason not to do it. Basically, he goofed and they got caught up in emotions, like you said.
Yeah. All right, on to Final 5 Tribal Council, Night 37. Jeff talks about the unforgiving pace of this entire season.
He wanted it to be a celebration, but it's obviously painful to go through, but powerful to watch, he tells them.
And he talks about, Sarah, you had a breakthrough.
At which point she responds, it's Lucina. So he's still struggling a little.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was awesome. Probst describes the game as a well-intentioned adversary that pushes you. I think he was probably writing that in his journal that day. He was like, oh, that's it. I got to use that.
Ben tells us this season was about growth for me, and that going home with friends outweighs the money. So he was already accepting of he was going to be voted out.
Before he even got there, but yeah, now he's even putting it on public display.
In front of the jury.
Yeah.
But Tony didn't seem to have a clue. And I thought, I bet they didn't tell him because he would have had a fit. Maybe they just didn't want to deal with it.
Tony was certainly speaking some truths here. He said the viewers don't see the social game, and that's a nut I don't think the editors have ever really cracked for us to be able to see what that cost is.
And that it really is harder and harder as it goes along to vote people. And you get closer and closer.
Respecting Sarah's wishes, I started writing Lucina in my notes. Lucina says that Tony got his 4th win.
She talks about how you get to vote someone off and still be good tomorrow. Tonight we move into a single on our own game. So she's broadcasting it. Mm-hmm. So if Tony didn't know, I don't know why he commented when the votes were read. You know, he was like, "Ooh." He acted like he didn't know, but wouldn't this have made you suspicious if Sarah were saying that kind of thing?
I think Tony's often struggled to track what Sarah was saying to him.
Okay.
So I don't know that it would have raised red flags, which is what you're highlighting.
Yeah, and I guess that a lot of times they try to cover things in tribal, so they learn not to pay too much attention to what you're trying to...
Yeah, there's misdirection that's offered up sometimes for benefit of trying to work an alliance member. Yeah, Michelle tells us there's a wall of an alliance that she's been dealing with for weeks, and these 3 are super strong, and she knows that she has to curb her expectations.
I don't think that helps her any.
No, that wasn't her giving up. That was her trying to set the trap, trying to help draw the fire away. But Natalie's got her head in her hands, and she's struggling while they're voting. She said, I have a bad feeling.
I wonder why she had such a bad feeling. She think they were going to vote Michelle all of a sudden, and she didn't know whether to play it for herself or Michelle.
Yeah, she was struggling. What's the right play? Absolutely, that's what was going on. But she did what was in her best interest, which was to play the idol for herself. Didn't matter, though. The votes are between Ben and Michelle, and Ben is out. And you're right. Tony didn't know. We hear a ooh from Tony. He didn't see that one coming at all.
Yep, the 3 girls voted for Ben, and the boys voted for Michelle.
Ben tells the jury, I hope you're ready to party. And he's going to get him a hug from Probst on his way out.
Good on him. A lot of them have expressed the desire to have some fun in this season.
Yeah, part of their celebration for sure. Okay, we got our final 4. It's Sarah, Tony, Michelle, and Natalie. So classic Final 4 immunity challenge there on day 38. They got the balls moving through the chutes, and they have to add more balls, and there's a little section there that flips it left and right. So it alternates which side it's going to pop out on their 2 exits.
That challenge.
And they have a hand tied behind their back.
I hate it.
Yeah, it just makes you anxious?
It makes me anxious.
Yeah, I thought that's probably what it was.
Makes my stomach hurt. I don't like it.
Probst tells us the 3 previous winners went on to win of this challenge, went on to win the game. Tony ends up dropping out when they're at 3 balls, and so you got the women fighting it out. Yeah.
Tony first out.
And Sarah went out, and now it's a battle between Natalie and Michelle. And they get all the way up to 5, which is the most that have ever been in that challenge.
Both awesome, I thought.
Doing great.
Really awesome.
Natalie gets multiple saves.
Boy, there were those, I thought, I don't even know how she got
quite a few
that one.
Close calls.
Whoa.
And it ends up paying off because she wins. Michelle drops, and Natalie wins the last immunity challenge.
Guaranteed final 3. And she gets to say who goes with her. Good on you, Natalie.
Yes, well played. She does seem to be making the most out of her opportunity here. Yep, a pattern we've seen before with Edge of Extinction.
And she's very proud of herself, and she should be. So while Natalie's off doing her thing and thinking and
about her big decision.
Yep, everybody else is practicing fire. Well, the girls were. Tony was showing them stuff for a while.
I don't don't know what Tony was doing when he was sitting there with Sarah. Yeah, I thought he was going to practice. He took all his stuff up there.
And he did eventually.
Yeah. Well, it's because seeing Sarah get some success and then going and seeing Michelle's success really put some fear into him.
Well, yeah, he might have been scoping out his adversaries and how well they could make fire.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think they'd all know that about each other by now.
Yeah, except they all seemed to be struggling. They didn't have the skill down, even though they knew it could come down to this. I was watching the technique, and Michelle, who seemed to be having more success than Sarah and Tony, didn't have really good technique at all. So it was interesting to watch them fumble with it the way they were. Michelle tells us it's times like these that she excels. And she did do well enough to scare Tony into practicing.
Well, I don't know.
Tony said he needed to get good.
She's like, if I go against Tony, I'm beating him.
Yeah, he's not in the right headspace, she said.
Tony's winning.
Yeah?
I thought, no, every time.
Well, Tony's not
quitting. They show somebody saying that.
Yeah.
They lose.
Yep. Tony's not giving up. He tells us win or lose, he's going to go out trying.
Yep. All right, Final Four Tribal Council.
Night 38.
Jeff tells us Sophie is not here. She is not feeling well, and the others will tell her what happens. She's taking the night off.
Natalie's happy that all her hard work has paid off and got her to this point. Michelle tells the jury that she's been practicing fire making nonstop.
No food, no water.
Just got back and just hit it.
So, and this is where Sarah says she'd rather Tony and her make fire. That if she was going to get shot, she'd rather get shot by Tony.
Michelle echoes the same sentiment. I want to beat Tony. What did you think of Natalie's choice?
I thought it was the right choice myself, to eliminate one of them, not to risk eliminating Michelle and then going to the end with the two of them.
What did you think of her choice not to attempt fire making herself?
Well, you were not specific about what your question.
It's fine. I had a follow-up ready.
Okay. I would have thought that was the wise choice for her, and yet
there's a reason she didn't.
It came back to bite her with Boston Rob, seemed like.
Absolutely.
All right, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
No, well, for her, it probably was the best choice in the sense that if she had done it, there was a good chance in her mind she wouldn't have been in the final tribal council, that she wouldn't have.
Could be. I wouldn't have given it
Why?
up.
Because she didn't have the skill either. So.
Well, she can make fire.
For a lack of practice, and we know that she's totally into hard work, but to not have that skill down.
Well, she had
all that
to
time
make
and
fire out
opportunity.
There. She was the only one there for a while.
She wasn't confident in her ability to exceed at that challenge, even though they all know now that it comes at Final Four. And so she ends up making a decision that she's going to bring Michelle and she's going to have Tony and Sarah face off. Tony says, surprise, surprise. He's going to give her a hard time for doing that, for sure, for putting them in that position. Sarah's at the red station. Tony's at the blue. Sarah turns to Tony and says, you're finally going to have to say that I'm better than you. She got a little trash talking in there, getting his head before they get going. So they take slightly different...
Or not, Sarah.
Slightly different focuses on how to get going. Tony's just trying to get the coconut husk to light up, and Sarah's trying to build a bed a little more for her ember.
Good grief. I thought he was going to burn the place down. We kept stacking and stacking and stacking.
Once they finally got it going, yeah, it was a little bit of a slow start for both of them, and then they got it going and eventually got the flame up there. It looked to me like Tony had initially built his flame in front of the string. Like if you're not paying attention to where the center of the fire is, you could make a mistake like that.
Well, the wind can blow it too.
Yeah.
But I thought Sarah had it there for a while when it first flared up, and it was starting to burn.
I think she panicked a little bit because she went for the coconut husk quick burn as opposed to getting the sticks. One of the things that I always think about there, maybe I mentioned it last time, One of the things that could really help you is just to take a few seconds to make a feather stick. Just to take your knife and you make some cuts on the stick so that it curls up. And it takes the flame better with that thin surface area like that. We've never really seen anyone do it because they're so anxious to get going and get a spark. But there's just a tiny little bit of prep work that you could do, maybe 10 seconds, that could really help that. And take a little bit of that twine coconut husk stuff and just do a quick wrap around 3 of those little sticks for a tripod, and you'd have a great upright frame that you could build on there.
Most people's adrenaline would be too high to...
Yeah, well, that's another thing that it's hard to factor in, because if you're really amped like that, real fine motor skills, shaving off the magnesium and then getting the angle of the blade right to get a good spark can be super hard to do if you're anxious like that. But Tony eventually gets it going and ends up winning, and that's the end of Cops R Us. It was a very emotional moment for them. Tony was apologizing, saying he was sorry, and Sarah was trying to get him to enjoy it.
Yeah, that was very moving, and I thought, oh, Tony's so winning this.
Yeah, it was a great impact on the jury on top of all that, right?
Yeah, that was when they were standing there, and he's just torn up, and he's so emotional, and the jury's watching this exchange of true emotion between the two of them. I was just like, that's it. Tony, hands down.
Echoing what some of them are thinking, that he's deserving to be there at Final 3. And Probst finally nails it and gives her a Lucina, the tribe has spoken. So we've got Natalie, Tony, and Michelle for the Final 3. The only way I'm getting any points at this stage is if somehow Michelle comes in second. I have blown points.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. All through this, I missed every way, being super optimistic with the Denise win and trying to play hysterically bold.
Yeah, well, that didn't get you very far there, babe. I was like, no, I'm tossing Denise over to the edge. Forget it. She's my USB.
Yep. Sarah tells us she's emotional but happy.
I didn't put her out first, but I think I had her going in fourth place or something. Anyway.
Day 39 breaks, and it is a rainy morning, but they've got a breakfast celebration to get to.
It looked delish.
Cooking bacon outdoors like that, that's awesome.
And Michelle tells us she thinks she's one of the very, very best in the game.
Initially, she left with the impression that a lot of people had got in her head that she wasn't deserving with her first win, but she's always fighting from the bottom, and she made it in the Final 3. She's closed a wound, she says. She knows she deserves to be there.
I hope she kept that mindset.
Natalie tells us that she played the best extinction game she could, having been out there since day 2. And she's certainly been relentless, and that's part of what she's going to emphasize.
That is really strange.
What's that?
That the person that goes out of the game first ends up in the Final 3.
It's a great demonstration, once again, of how broken this concept is and why it's a bad idea.
I have to agree with that.
Tony tells us he's going to prove his greatness. He's not great at one particular thing, but he's good at lots of things that are required to do well in this game.
And now he's just got to convince the jury that he deserves to win and be the king of Survivor.
Even though he's inflicted some real wounds on them. Yep, definitely time for a king, he says. Okay, it's night 39. We're at the final tribal council, and it is even colder and rainier.
I just had a real problem with that.
What?
I thought, this is final tribal. Come on, put a tarp up over people or something to make them sit there shivering.
Yeah, when you watch the jury's reaction,
that was painful
through this process, and you think at some point, like, you can see Tyson just full body shivering, right? Yeah. Like a little wet dog. And he's miserable. And so how's that going to affect your willingness to be a good jury member?
I would have been, just hurry up, shut up. I got to get up. I'm cold.
Can we vote now? Can we vote? How much longer is this going to go on? Yeah.
Well, I don't know how they could help but feel that way. And after Sophie had been sick, and now she's sitting in the rain.
She looked miserable the whole time
Well,
she was
they all
sitting there.
looked miserable.
Yeah.
Even Tony and them and Natalie and Michelle they just looked miserable and cold.
Well, Probst isn't having any of that. He says, let's get going here with the outwit portion of Final Tribal. Tell us about your social game, your alliances. How did you manage this part? Yule says when he gets asked to lead it off, he's having some stage fright, so Probst makes fun of him. But he offers huge kudos.
Relaxed him.
And acknowledges all the different paths that the three have taken to be there, and tells them that they really need to fill in the blanks with their answers.
Yep.
Denise first up with the questions, and she wants to know about missteps and missed opportunities.
I like that question.
Yeah, it was good. Natalie says mine was simple. Day one, I had no social game. I thought I was going to be a physical asset, and I didn't make any social connections.
And nobody cared. So,
and I was out on day two, so that was pretty bad.
Yep, I guess that was a mistake. And Michelle told us what good relationships she had.
Yes, the one-on-one ones, which had nothing to do with numbers.
Yeah.
So that was her misstep. She'd never built a strong majority alliance.
And then I love that Tony said, I didn't have any missteps. I opened up to each one of you.
I made myself more social and more vulnerable
than ever before.
Flip the question around. Yeah, that was a big power move by him, and it was a good response.
Well, and then you see Nick's hurt.
Yep.
You blindsided me. Blah, blah, blah.
Tony had a quick answer. You were coming for me, and I knew it, so you had to go.
And then Jeremy, here's another one hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, And he turned it around and said, Jeremy, I respect you as a man, a fireman, and a father. I don't know why he added all that. I don't relate to eating out at fancy restaurants and traveling. Or
he was making the point that he was able to connect to Jeremy through their families and how they loved and appreciated their families, because he didn't have other things. Right. Like he even said, which surprises me, that he wasn't into sports. I would have thought he was a big sports guy.
He probably couldn't sit down for that long.
Perhaps not. In any case, he said that was how he made the connection to Jeremy. So, and that's what this opportunities to talk about is the social part of your game. And
he added that Jeremy scared him, the thought of going against him.
Ben tried to defend him, talking about how loyal he was, but Jeremy wasn't having any of it. He's like, he didn't vote you out, Ben.
Yeah, loyal to you.
Knucklehead, yeah.
And not to us. I thought, Ben tried several times to throw points toward Tony and Michelle, like pointing out how many individual immunity wins they
But that was really about Tony, because Tony's number was bigger.
Yeah, but you could tell he was pushing for Tony.
Boston Rob had a good question after Natalie was talking about working on from the edge in response to something that Adam had asked her, and he wanted to know why she isolated herself on the edge, and that looked, the way he framed it, it started off
of them.
It sounded really bad on her part, but then she said, well, I had found these advantages that I played on Nick and Tony, and I had made the decision to keep them a secret, and I didn't know how to manage all that without
telling somebody.
Yeah, basically. And she said that to get her focus, she needed to isolate. So it seemed like a good answer back to him.
Yeah.
And then Parvati just lobs a softball in for Tony. Tony, how did you know all these things? And he gets to tell his spy nest story. And it's something that he had some connection with Adam, because he basically said, you'll like this, Adam. And it was the spy nest, after describing his attempts in previous seasons and how well that worked for him.
Well, and after Rob...
He just had him cracked up with that, too.
After Rob had said what he did to Natalie, Parvati piped up and said, hey, the one thing I really like about you, girl, is you are honest with people. And whether they liked it or not, you were honest. So she appreciated that about her. Of course, I think she and Natalie and maybe Ethan did yoga all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were both together a lot.
Parvati, we got to see Parvati, Danny, and Natalie doing yoga out on the beach. Yep.
Yeah. Tony talks about his spy nest and had the jury laughing. Michelle tells us that she played an adaptable and flexible game.
She didn't really have any choice, but yep, that's
Yeah,
where she
well,
was.
because she was on the bottom for a long time, and she had to be.
Ben tries to throw her a bone. He says, as a fellow controversial winner, I really appreciate how you play the game, and you're great. So that was nice of him there. Okay, moving on to outplay. Who was it that asked? Was it Wendell?
Wendell asked.
Wanted to know from Natalie, how many things did she end up playing
Sending
from
in the game,
Yeah, from the edge. That was great.
Yes.
And so she gets to rattle them all off. It was an impressive list for sure.
Well, it did show that she'd been quite busy out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that she was
She had
putting a lot
an
of
impact
thought.
on the game. Yeah, for sure. That was right after that. So when you got the question from Ben about winning, the 4 wins for Tony and 2 for Michelle. Tony tells him, well, the first one just lit a fire. Jeremy said he never should have let him do that, huh? He could see his mistake at that point.
Yeah. Tony's like, hey, I can win.
Michelle about how significant a day is. So winning gets you to be there the next day, and that can sometimes change everything.
Well, she really did pull them out when she needed them the most.
And then we get the crux, probably the most important question from Boston Rob for Natalie.
Yep.
Why did you not take on Tony in the fire making challenge? And Natalie's response was, well, I wanted to finish off that Final Four alliance. So she wanted to...
Well, she wanted to break them up.
Yeah, that's what I meant by finish off. That's right. So that was what her goal was. But you could see it wasn't satisfactory. It just didn't feel like it, and it was being highlighted.
To Rob, anyway, but she said, I'm at peace with my decision. Mm-hmm. My decision was to continue to pull their alliance apart.
Tony had him rolling again when he got the question from Ethan about the edge of extinction impact, and he told the story about the extortion challenge, how happy he was going to be able to extort someone, and then found out it was being played on him. Michelle had a good response too, really good. It was just really hard to follow Tony after he had the funny story. She said everything great that happened for me came from the edge, from fire tokens for people leaving to the advantages to the alliance that she got to form with Natalie. I thought that was a good response.
I think it's good that she gave them credit for their part in her game, but I don't think it earned her any individual resume advantage for her gameplay.
She didn't have a standout story for sure. Yep, moving on to Outlast, Natalie talks about her ability to adapt and how important that was, and how she was able to take apart that unbreakable alliance. She busted them up, made sure there was only one there at the end from 4 to 1. That was significant.
Yep, you have to give her that. And Michelle tells us she was at 15 of the 19 tribal councils.
That was a good story.
On the bottom.
Yep.
It is. She got there.
She said the best I could deliver. Yep, and she's proud of her game.
Win or lose, I'm proud, and she was all choked up too.
Yeah.
Good on her. Then Tony told the story about looking for the idols at night, and it took him 26 days to find one.
We didn't think he was looking, but he was, he tells us. So there's Day Tony and Night Tony, and Night Tony was quite busy.
But here's the biggest seller. Nobody ever put my name down.
That's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. All of them can relate to how do you get to Final Tribal and nobody wrote your name down.
And be Tony Vlachos with that reputation.
With his reputation.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I totally discounted him in the game.
Oh, yeah. You were really down on him in the
just thought,
first part of the
he's
season.
Just gonna do you know,
remember
all
me asking
the
you about
hokey
that?
stuff.
You were attributing
No.
things to him that he wasn't even doing, and negativity.
Oh, you're not accurate.
Okay.
That's a made up story.
Well, it was great to have you come around.
But
Danny acknowledges that they all three have played incredible games, and Amber agrees. Yep, an amazing journey.
Well, I can honestly say Tony won me over.
Yep, and he did a lot of the jury too. Boston Rob says they all offered up a great defense tonight and made it a hard decision. So that's exactly what you want to hear. That's a best case scenario.
Yep.
Time to vote.
Jury votes. And I felt bad for Michelle.
Yeah.
After they had 2 for Natalie and 2 for Tony, you knew.
Yeah, there weren't
She not
any
getting
coming her
any-
way.
You know.
Yeah, you could see her sink a little as she was sitting there in the Zoom
You
video
know, she
block.
knew too.
Yeah, she recognized it, and then when Tony pulled even with Natalie, you could see her face shift. She realized what was happening too, and then the Tony votes just kept pouring in. So Natalie got votes from Ethan, Parvati, Tyson, and Jeremy, and then everybody else voted for Tony,
That's right.
our new king of Survivor.
That is correct.
He won the Winners at War season. So
He got 12 of the 16 jurors.
yeah, it was impressive.
Yep, he got 12 out of 16.
He tells Probst that that's going to give him some security, which is certainly something a lot of us are clamoring for in these uncertain times. So
I liked his house. It looked like he had lots of room for people to
for
come
activities,
and dine.
yeah, for family. Like you said, he doesn't travel. He doesn't
probably
go places.
doesn't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
He likes his home and he has people come there.
Yep.
We can relate. We don't go out
We're
much.
homebodies. Even before the quarantine,
so we didn't go out much. Okay.
So, satisfying winner for you?
Yeah, totally.
Where does it fit in the pantheon of winners now? There's an obvious comparison question to Sandra.
I don't do that stuff.
Okay.
It's that I don't know. I live in the moment. I enjoy this moment. I enjoy the winner.
Thinking's hard.
Tony did a good job.
Tony did a great job. To get his second win at Winners at War, I think is probably one of the most significant wins in Survivor history.
I think it's cool that there's now a king to Sandra's queen.
Yeah.
But, Tony's won more money, and he won
Against all
this
winners.
season against all winners.
Yeah.
So,
Heroes
yeah.
versus villains, not on the same level.
I think that's really all you need to say.
There you go. See, you got there.
Well,
You had an answer.
that's kind of obvious.
We had to. It was a process we had to work through. I agree 100%. I think it's the most significant win for sure.
Yeah, and he should be very proud. He did do a good job, and he really did dial himself back. He really did listen to the wife.
Mm-hmm.
And
Pretty significant, huh?
yeah. Well,
Look
right
at
to
the benefits
end,
that
but-
come from that.
Well, you should learn.
Yeah, I'm trying to pitch you an easy one there. Yeah. Well, I certainly did not call it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. How about a JSFL update? Let's find out how some other people did.
All right. I got 103, by the way.
I was
So
wondering.
that wasn't bad. I surprised myself. This has to be partly on Parvati for making me think this afternoon.
Yeah, that interview really
Okay.
helped.
A big congratulations to BrianHeidikSaveUs in North Carolina for winning
What a name.
JSFL for this season with 142 points.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Good
big
job.
One. Yeah.
Got the final order correct.
Oh, really? All
24
six?
point. Yep.
Nice.
24 point USB.
Wow.
Bam.
Yeah,
Moved
okay.
right on up to the top.
Maxed out then. Fantastic.
There were 56 people who got the vote off points for Denise
Okay.
for 6th. 80 people had been out 5th. 77 people had Sarah out in 4th place. 78 people had Michelle out in 3rd. 60 people had Natalie out in 2nd. And 221 people had Tony for the winner. So,
Smart play for sure.
okay, the side challenge. Here we go. Congratulations to JKindred for first place with 122 points.
Very nice.
And we need to get a parody song for him from him. With 103 points, Jeremiah.
Good job, Jeremiah.
85, Parker.
Way to go, Parker.
83, ColdMike.
Wow, it's a separation here, huh?
78, Slappy.
Good job, Slappy.
76, Brandon.
Way to go, Brandon.
75, Carl. And Chris.
Nice. Chris, what's Chris doing way up there?
With 74, Jack. 73, Jonathan.
Job, Jack, Jonathan.
71,
All right.
Cameron.
70, Cameron.
68, Justin. 64, Rebecca.
Oh.
With 59 points, Drew. And in the bottom with 55 would be Stacy.
Oh, my goodness.
Ouch.
I demand a recount. No, that's
yeah,
good.
don't bother.
I took a crazy...
55 plus 0 equals 55.
There it is.
Pretty simple.
Solid math. I took a bold, extreme leap at the end, and it did not pay off. It did not break in my favor.
It did nothing but burn your tail feathers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, my turn in the basement again. Well, I look forward to hearing what JKindred comes up with for the parody song, and then I'll get to work on that.
Well, yep. Well, you enjoyed it last time, so...
It is fun to do. It is work. So, yeah, it's certainly not a freebie.
That's why most
Take
of
some
us
effort.
Don't do the side challenge. It would be way too stressful for me.
And I have to confess that I haven't been musically inclined
lately
during the quarantine. Yeah, all the groups that I play in are called off, and then I don't know if it's the anxiety or whatever, but I haven't even been playing or singing that much. But I look forward to this as an opportunity to
Are you that
work on
scared
some
of bringing
music
something into me?
Well, for sure, that's something that we got to avoid. So you're extremely high risk.
I don't go out at all.
Right.
For what, just over 3 months.
Yeah.
But then I
You've
was
also had
sick
health
a lot of that
challenges
time, so.
for the last.
Had bronchial issues that entire time.
We're in week 15 now. Yeah.
So I was just feeling better the last few days. I was like, hey, woohoo.
Just in time for the
I think
finale.
that prednisone's working.
All right. Well, we're excited to hear what you thought about the finale. How did your picks go? What did you think about our winner and how it played out? Do you think Ben quit? Because I certainly do. I'm disappointed there. I didn't want to see that. So I'm looking forward to hearing how you saw the challenges. What do you think about the season as a whole? Where does it fit in the 40? Does this make your top half, the top 20, the top 10, 5? Is this number 1? What do you think? And how's this one going to endure? Looking forward to hearing from you. We've been having these great listener feedback shows all season long. I think it's because we had a really fantastic cast and we've had a good time with this season. And as a lot of people pointed out, we needed some survivor healing after that last season. And so this has been,
I think we got that,
a really good cleanse. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about our winner and how that compares with Sandra and our other winners. And Probst did tease, before I forget, that he said that he was expecting to offer a show in the fall. So didn't have anything else to say about it, obviously, because nothing's happened.
No.
But I think we mentioned before that they used to film in June and July, August, in that time frame, and have a season ready in September. So,
it can be done, but whether it will be done, we don't know.
That seems like a rush, and I hope that there's still so much we don't know about what we're dealing with here. I hope they don't rush into something. I hope the greed that's gripping some other areas doesn't mess up our show.
What was it all about with him saying for 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds to apply?
To be applying?
I thought you had to be 18.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or just about 18.
Other than, I guess my first impression was that he was saying you need to get that experience, so you want to start doing that.
My thought was, what are they doing?
Lower
teenager
in the age,
season?
And I was pretty sure that I heard early on that they had already set the cast for 41 and 42.
Well, they have, because they were already supposed to.
Well, things change, and I'm sure people will reevaluate their decisions and things
or they
like
may
that.
not be available when.
Yep. So, we don't know when we're going to get another show, so we'd like you to come be part of this last listener feedback show for this season. Help tie a bow on it, share what you thought about the season and the finale, and what'd you think about getting all that focus on the episode. I'm fine not having reunions.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
fine with
sit
him
with
not
that.
going in the audience and not doing
It was
commercials.
nice to get to see him a little bit. I didn't recognize Sarah very easily or Jeremy.
She was too far from the camera in that Zoom grid. That was not a flattering shot of her. She looked really creepy.
But it was different, but it was good. But I feel very content and happy
Yeah.
with the winner and the overall feel.
I like the extra content. Yes. Different from feeling content, but I liked all the extra time in the show. When it's so jam-packed, I wish they wouldn't do Final Six like we've talked about before, but if they're going to do it, just maximize it for us.
Well, that was a way to do it because I didn't feel like anything was really that rushed like we have before with certain ones. They seemed just too rushed, too much crammed in there that you couldn't comprehend what was going on.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel that way at all.
So we need your feedback in Saturday, noon Pacific time. The voicemail number 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. The email joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. The sooner you can get it in, the sooner we can get it all prepped and ready to go, and that's great. We've had a group of folks who've done really well getting their stuff in early, and I'm sure this will be a big show, so we're looking forward to putting that together and getting it out there to tie a bow on the season, wrap it up.
Until whenever.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.